All right, we have a great show today. We're joined with our special guest, Matt Johnson. Matt is the podcast expert, and today he's going to tell us why every agent should not have a podcast. And we're going to go ahead and get started right now.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Hey, everyone.
I like the new intro style.
Thank you.
It's like we come in, and then the music comes, and then we come back in.
Really coming together as a band.
Yeah, we're changing up. We're trying to improve here, man.
I know.
We
Especially
are
the
improving,
production.
although I did realize on the way over here that I'm wearing the same shirt and hat that I did like 3 weeks ago. So.
Me too. I'm wearing the same shirt.
Yeah. I had a chance. I'm going to undo a button so that when people
think
watch
we
the
need
clips,
more
they can
buttons.
differentiate which episode this is.
Oh, my God.
I'm
So
excited.
this is this episode.
I'm excited about this show.
This is why agents shouldn't do podcasts. This is exactly the perfect lead-in. Too much chest hair.
So we're joined with our special guest today, Matt Johnson of Pursuing Results. And Matt runs a big podcast called Real Estate Uncensored. And he's going to tell us why every agent, including ourselves, why we should not have a podcast. And Matt, welcome to our show.
What's up, guys? I'm having chest hair envy. So if I start to unbutton at some point, do not be alarmed.
I love it. Fair enough.
That may be a new show.
That's a whole episode.
So Matt, give us that 60-second breakdown of who you are and what makes you the authority in this space.
So I started about 4 years ago with a show called Real Estate Uncensored. We were initially a YouTube live show, and then we eventually, 3 or 4 months later, launched it onto iTunes as a quote-unquote podcast. And then I started having a lot of amazing guests and started working with another leader in the real estate space on the Team Building podcast and co-hosted that for a couple of years and all that fun stuff. So I was really deep. I started a real estate team back before the crash and stuff like that. And there were certain aspects of it that I really enjoyed, which was the marketing and the team building side. And then everything else I couldn't stand, including the client part. So that led me back into helping agents market through video at my old agency. And I ended up stepping out and running a podcast production agency because I essentially got sucked into it by people asking me kind of the same thing that you guys are asking me, which is what we'll talk about today. Should I run a podcast? If so, who should I be speaking to and what should I use it for? And in most cases for agents, the answer is no. We'll talk about why that is. The reason I got sucked into running an agency is because I was running a podcast not for the public, but for other agents, which worked really well to generate demand for coaching services and B2B services, things like that. So those are the clients that I work with. 2 of my clients have built 7-figure real estate teams where they net 7 figures off of their team and manage it in 1 day a week. Nice. Both of them have then gone on to build coaching organizations that are 6 and 7 figures on top of their real estate team. Right? Those are the folks that I got a chance to work with. And so podcasting works really well for them. And we'll talk about why it doesn't work well for agents marketing to the consuming public and what to do about that and what to do instead of podcasting. But that's kind of how I got into this world. So I ended up being kind of accidentally, so to speak, the guy to come to if you wanted to get into podcasting and you were a real estate coach. So I produce, Lars Hedenberg's podcast with Real Estate B School, Team Building with Jeff Cohn, Club Wealth by Michael Hellickson, and some other smaller ones that certain pockets would know and some wouldn't. I did a bunch of stuff with viral marketing. I produced Greg Harrelson's podcast and co-hosted that with him for a long time. So yeah, that's kind of I ended up being kind of deep into that space. That's where I'm coming from.
You can tell he's a podcast guy because his mic and his camera are legit. Yeah. That is like the cleanest picture we've ever had a guest in our entire time on the show.
Hey, I'm jealous of your guys' setup because you've got the camera transitions and all that fun stuff. I try to keep it a little bit more simple and stripped down, but I'm glad it looks legit.
That's all Derek in there.
Yeah, this is not us. We pay for this setup. So
you just shoulder roll in and out.
That's right.
They're usually late.
Yeah. I think this is the second most prepared we've been for a show in a long time. So,
good.
So tell us, you're going to give us some meat and potatoes today on, the intro in is why every agent should not have a podcast. And we're going to go over some new media type strategies that will, that agents can go and start implementing and help them grow their brand awareness and get more business. So let's kind of go into a little bit more why they shouldn't start a podcast, and what can they do to help them build their brand in this kind of new media style world?
Yeah. Well, so flash forward, go back 4 years when I was working with my co-host on Real Estate Uncensored, Greg McDaniel, on how to market to his database. And we experimented with a lot of stuff. Video works great. Short form video works the best, I believe, and Facebook Live, since it's come out, is another great way to do short form video, where the consuming public will give you attention. Right. The problem is the consuming product, like the general consumer who's interested in real estate every 6 or 7 years, is not interested in learning the behind the scenes stuff of how real estate is done and what a real estate agent's life is like in the trenches. The actual name Real Estate Uncensored came from Greg's original idea to do a video series on all the things that can go wrong in a transaction. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of bouncing that back and forth, and it did okay. But the agency that I used to work for has produced literally thousands of individual videos on every real estate topic under the sun. There's only a few that perform really well, and nobody's asking for a real estate podcast. Nobody's asking, hey, I love these videos, but man, if I could just get them on my phone, that would be you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That nobody's asking for it. So we all think they want it. They're not asking for it. And then when we put it out there, it falls flat. That's my belief, because I've seen it happen. In fact, at my old agency, every single one of their clients gets their short form videos turned into a podcast automatically.
Okay.
Nobody knows about it because the general consuming public does not care. So there are literally, and I joke you not, 500 plus real estate podcasts aimed at the general public that nobody knows about and nobody listens to, because they all watch the video version, because that's the only thing they want, is very short, content-packed videos that mix in a few different topics, like, market updates and what to do to get your home ready to sell. And, we can look at what the consuming public wants. Here's what they want. They want HGTV. Yep. Right. They want the shiny part of real estate. They do not want the behind the scenes. That's why real estate agents, that's why we as a whole exist, because they don't want to know or care what goes on behind the scenes. Now, the reason that affects us really well is because if you take the advice of the Gary V's of the world a little bit too literally, you're going to end up going down the wrong path, which is that you pull back the curtain on stuff that people don't actually care about. Gary V sharing his life with other entrepreneurs, we have that in common. Right. And we all want to be cool like that. So Gary V is selling a lifestyle to other entrepreneurs who wish they could be living that lifestyle. That's not what we're selling to the public, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of
sense.
So
when we take that advice of Gary V
on our show,
and probably with good and bad reason, but I have very strong feelings about it. We'll talk about that another time. But we get way off track. Mm-hmm. Like pulling back the curtain on stuff, when the whole reason our industry exists is that people don't want to pull back the curtain. They don't want to know. They want to hire someone that takes the mental and emotional burden off of them of having to know. Right. They want someone to hold their hand. That's why we as an industry exist. So we have to recognize that and market accordingly.
And I think there's some local agents and there's agents all over, but a couple of them come to mind particularly who do that short form video thing that you're talking about really well, right? Flashy intro, but then it's really just a stabilizing stick in their cell phone, and they're putting videos together of the $400,000, $700,000, $1 million condos. What's the difference between the three? And those videos get tons of run, because that's the HGTV style stuff that I think people really like to see, and I've always found that interesting, and I don't have like the creativeness to put that stuff together, but whenever I see somebody do it, I'm like, damn it, that's a really good idea. And he got like 10,000 views on that ridiculous video that he probably just did while he was just out touring homes, and the consumer loves that kind of stuff.
But see, that's a really good point, is that the consumer likes the flashy, shiny stuff, right? But that stuff can be expensive to create, right? Like creating high quality video, and we know a lot of people that do it. It's expensive, man. So what can the individual agent do if the general public doesn't want to know the behind the scenes, but we want to get short form video content out there? What can I do as an individual business owner? What kind of content should I create, and how can I distribute it and get in front of people with stuff that they'll actually engage with?
Yeah. So I would, if I were starting over in real estate, or if I was running like a solo practice right now in real estate, I would go all in on Facebook Live.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would, because I want to do two things. I want to show my authority and credibility, give them enough of a sneak peek behind the scenes just so that I'm credible. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the only threshold I want to cross. Then I want to be generally visible and being known for the one thing that I do. So for example, I encourage everybody that's in real estate to specialize in some form or capacity. Like you can't be everything to everyone, right? So if you're gonna last in real estate, you have to specialize in some form. And the way to be visible is to be visible in the thing that you're specialized in, not talking about everything, right? So be visible. And then I want to use Facebook Live to like build relationships. Like I want a network of other business leaders out there who are working with the same types of people I want to work with. I want those business leaders referring me business.
Yep.
So, for example, I would use Facebook Live to go in to the leaders that I want to meet and say, hey, I'd love to spotlight your business, put you in front of my social media audience. Would you be open to doing a short, like 5-minute Facebook Live where I ask you a couple of questions on camera and then we both share it out and we have a good, fun time? That's a very easy yes. My partner Greg does that in the East Bay area, and he's even got the mayor of his city to jump on Facebook Live with them and got tens of thousands of views, all that fun stuff. Short form Facebook Live is not going anywhere. Long form, right? Like my podcast, like running a live podcast on a Facebook Live, Facebook is going, and like we're getting pushed down on the algorithm. Short form videos are here to stay. Facebook is going to keep on pushing them. People are responding to them. They get engagement, they get interaction, they get everything. So that's kind of where the market is moving. So that's where I'd go all in.
Are you starting to see a little bit, though, and this is going to counteract what you just said about the long-form video, because I just read somewhere that Facebook's really trying to promote some more longer-form video for engagement purposes. So I was reading an article somewhere, and I'll have to go and find it and repost it in here, that if it's over 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's actually starting, as long as there's engagement there, it's starting to push it back up and be higher up in the algorithms. Have you heard anything on that?
I haven't. The last I heard, and we're not seeing it in the numbers either. We still broadcast our show live 1 day a week on Fridays, and we're not seeing the difference in the numbers. And the last thing Social Media Examiner did when they really dug into the numbers, and they've got a very popular show, podcast, platform, the whole 9 yards, and all their audience is marketers who have their finger on the pulse of it. They just took their show down a few months ago from Facebook Live. Because they weren't seeing it. Like they were looking at the engagement, they were looking for what their the numbers that they were getting out of it. Took the whole thing down. They haven't put it back up either. Wow. So Facebook may claim that they're going to do us some favors on putting some long form content up there. I don't necessarily believe them. They've tried Facebook Watch, that's not taking off. It remains to be seen whether IGTV will do well. I would suspect probably not, given past indications. And I just don't think. My personal opinion is that social media is not where people are hanging out for long form content. That's YouTube. And so we want to make sure my show has always been on YouTube. It's never not been there. So we've had that advantage where people who are looking for the content that we put out, they're most likely to search for it on YouTube, and we're there. And even if they find somebody first, we're usually right there in the recommended videos. So, and you can use this strategy for local search too. That's part of why those videos about what you can get for $1 million in Benton County or one of my friends down in Atlanta did a series of videos on every major upscale suburb in West Atlanta. Crazy views, right? Because people are searching for, like, they're looking at moving into Atlanta. They're going to YouTube and typing in Cobb County, and then her videos for every suburb in Cobb County start coming up because people are legitimately looking for that information and they want it on YouTube, and they're willing to sit there through a 10-minute video about that suburb because they looked at it. You didn't try to serve it up to them on Facebook when they're looking at the pictures of what someone ate this morning.
Right. So for those who don't know, what is considered short form?
At this day and age, 5 minutes and under, preferably under 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
5-minute videos feel so
Anything
long
longer than
now. It's like I see a video and I tap the thing and it's a minute in. I'm like, I got 4 more minutes to go. I ain't got time for this.
I just play chicken with the yellow ad bar. Whenever I see it getting close to an ad coming up, I bail out.
But the cool thing is you can actually jump forward on it and it makes the ad go away.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you go.
So let's talk a little bit about YouTube. I mean, that's something that I've gone all in, right? And I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube right now in terms of it takes forever to get that traction and growth, and trying to find that right video that's going to kick our algorithm up. What are you seeing from an agent side, not a business to business, but agent to consumer, in terms of how should they use YouTube effectively in order to really start seeing results in probably a 12-month period, right? Is that going to be a more of a long-term strategy play?
Well, I don't know. Realistically, probably 18. Even Gary Vee would tell you that. Wine Library TV, and this is back in the day when YouTube was exploding. Right now, it's maturing. So when YouTube was exploding, it took Gary Vee 18 months to get traction. 18 months of a couple hundred views, and then bam, explosion. Yeah. So I wouldn't plan on anything before 18 months. Now, my show was lucky in the sense that it was B2B. People were searching for the information, so we started to get traction a lot earlier. If I was an agent and I wanted to go deep on YouTube, I would pretty much only do it for like out in the field talking head style videos about certain subdivisions that are actually being searched for. Not that you wish people were searching for, but you can legitimately go and prove that people are searching for it. And then I would make sure, if we're talking about growing a channel, it has to be stuff people are searching for. That's the bottom line. If you're looking to grow a channel, there's a bunch of other ways to use YouTube, like videos that you send to your prospects, to your clients, and there's a bunch of other stuff where you can just use YouTube as the platform that hosts the videos to build your business. And to me, some of those avenues are even more interesting, I think, than just growing a YouTube audience. I think as agents, we spend, especially now in the last 5 years, we spend a lot of time twisting ourselves in pretzels, trying to get attention, trying to fill the very, very top of the funnel, and then we ignore the rest of the funnel.
Yep, that makes sense.
So my contention would be, let's make sure we've got the rest of our funnel working well. Then let's worry about filling it up with more people at the top. Let's make sure we've got our database stuff together. Let's make sure if you're already in my world that I'm communicating with you, that you're getting a thank you card from me, that you're getting connected with on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are all stuff that a VA can do for you, a virtual assistant for $5 or $6 an hour. And we ignore all that stuff because the influencers of the world are telling us that we need to be doing 17 Instagram stories a day.
Well, that stuff's so surface level too, right? I think Brian and I were on another podcast where we were talking about that. A lot of people are not giving you really anything actionable. They're giving you vague ideas and theories about what to do. I love that no matter who we have on this show, though, it still comes back to you need to follow up with people. Like, he's literally talking about follow-up. Every time we have somebody on the show, it comes down to follow-up and nurturing the people once you get them into your funnel, right? Like, no matter what you do.
So it's not...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It is.
Well, here's the
I love that.
So here's where tech is making this stuff easier. And this is why I'm excited about technology, even as I give people a hard time about social media, because there's certain things that technology is making super, super easy that used to be really hard. And I'll give you a quick example. So, and I don't have one handy. I should have had one handy for this. I have a little system built with my virtual assistant where people who are like on my podcast, or I meet them at an event, or have a connection call with them for pretty much any reason, I have a little system built that ensures that every single one of those people gets a thank you card from me that appears to be handwritten, right? Okay. So all I do is I have the system set up to where my virtual assistant has access to my send out cards, like my access login, so she can get in and send a card on my behalf. Credit card's already there. She's got everything she needs. We've got a stock thank you card with our logo and a little podcast-y type background. So zero thinking required. But how do you get like a personal message if somebody else is doing the sending? All I do is we're both on Voxer, which is a little voice message, among other things, just like a little texting or voice message app. So I message Hazel in the Philippines and I tell her, hey, I just got off of a podcast with Nick and a bunch of cool guys. Grab me their address and here's the message to send. Blah, 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 blah. Great. The card goes out the next day. And so that takes me 30 seconds per person to get what appears to be a handwritten thank you note into their hands. So there's stuff like that. Like I'm excited about the fact that we can use technology to still do something that's very, very personal, very much appreciated, and makes a huge impact, way more than just hopping on Facebook and liking some posts.
And see, that's why I love this show. Even we learn something new every day. We have a real human being writing our thank you cards, and that's
such a waste of time,
right?
It's a waste of time.
I think our arms are going to fall off some days because we get a lot of leads. So,
yeah. Dude, if I sent you a thank you card that was handwritten by me with like the carpal tunnel from playing drums for 30 years, like you wouldn't be able to read it anyway.
Read it anyway, exactly. No, you make such a good point though, because we could go back to using content as a way to nurture and follow up with people and not ignoring the funnel. I think that's one of the biggest things that agents kind of mistake in their mindset towards podcasts and towards content creation, that it's just from running this show we've realized, and this show is strictly for a very targeted audience, people that want this information, people that are searching for it, and people that are getting a lot of value out of it. And even we experience tremendous growing pains in getting viewership for this show, right? It is just difficult to organically grow a show of any kind and get eyeballs on it. And so when you're trying to do a podcast as a lead generation source, meaning filling your database with more people through a podcast type of content strategy, that's probably bad news, right? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be using that same sort of content to nurture your existing database. And I think we really dropped the ball on that. And it's sort of the exact same thing that we dropped the ball on in all our lead generation strategies. We're always trying to generate new leads. We're never following up with the old ones, right? And it's the same principle that applies.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is that we do this a lot where we think it's targeted, but in reality it's not, because there's already tons of competitors out there who are doing the same thing. You could do this as an agent if you ask yourself, okay, well, who do I serve? Well, I serve homeowners who want to sell their homes for more money and less time. And I tend to, let's say I serve West Omaha. I'm kind of in the suburbs, and it's at least 200,000 and up. Sounds targeted, except there's 1,000 other agents doing the same thing. They all wish they were working in the same area. They may not come right out and say it. There's very few people saying, hey, I specialize in condos in this section of downtown Toronto, and I only work with people that want to work in those condo buildings. There's very little of that going on. So there's a lot less specialization and targeting than we probably think there is. And that's why we can see that that's true. What proves that that's true is the fact that it's hard to build an audience.
Yeah.
Because when you go to tell somebody about what you do or what your show's about, if you can't speak directly to them and they go, holy cow, I have to listen to that right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
If that's not the reaction you get when you're talking to the right person you wish was listening to your stuff, then you realize, okay, I don't have the right clear and compelling idea behind the things that I'm doing. And this applies to agents doing Facebook Lives. It applies to us as podcasters. It's all the same thing. Like we're not anywhere near as targeted or specialized as we probably think that we are, because there's 5 other people doing the same thing that we are that probably also have podcasts. That's definitely true in the B2B world. So Facebook Lives, make sure that you're communicating very clearly and in a compelling way why you're different and what you specialize in, and speak right to those people. The other thing I want to hit is just on the audience side. Like on Facebook Lives and stuff, if you're doing a market report and people are watching and people are commenting, realize that nobody that doesn't care about real estate right now cares about a market report.
Right.
So think about if you've got 10 people or 15 people in your database that commented or liked your video on a market report, and especially if they actually legitimately watched and commented on something that indicated that they really were actually watching your video. I don't care if that video gets 1,000 views or 5,000 views. I want to know about the 10 people who were watching that might actually be thinking about real estate right now, either because they're moving or somebody in their life is moving, and so their mind is on real estate right now. If it had 1,000 people you had to follow up with, that's just white noise. Mm-hmm. If you've got 10 people that comment on your video about a market report, message every single one of them. Send them a voice message. Send them a video saying, hey, I did that video about the market report. I'm so glad. I noticed that you watched it. I appreciate the comment, or I saw that you share it. I was just curious, like, hey, is real estate on your mind for some reason right now? Is you or someone you know looking to do something? Let me know if you have any questions. And just like reach out and start a conversation. So people, I think, beat themselves up for like not having massive views and massive audiences on their content they put out for real estate. It's not the point. The point is to get sales. This is not a contest with the Gary V's of the world, and we will all lose, by the way, right? He's the category king of that. We're not going to beat him.
I like that you said that.
Stop trying.
I like you said that about views, because I think we even get caught up in that, right? The first thing we do almost after every show is be like, did we get a bunch of views during the show, right? And what we used to, specifically on this show, using us as an example, what we used to do really well was the engagement side of things after the fact, right? Because we get quite a few comments on the show, and you can even see it dwindle when you stop responding to those comments. People stop commenting back to you. Right, they're going to stop engaging with you. It'd be very similar to if I was sitting there having a conversation with Brian. He's looking at his phone. I'm going to stop talking to his ass. Right, like I'm not going to pay any attention to him if he's not wanting to engage with me. So I just think I'm glad that you brought up the view thing, because we even suffer from that a little bit. But if you've got a couple of people who are genuinely interested in what we're talking about, that's who you go with.
Yeah,
right?
And it's also a really good point that just reach out and message them. I think that's the one medium of communication that hasn't become as just widely accepted by professionals as everything else, right? For the longest time, like, text messaging seemed so unprofessional. Like, it was like years ago. It was like 10 years ago, right? Yeah. Now we send out probably 1,000 text messages a day just from our office, right? And people love that. I mean, and it's in the numbers, right? A much higher percentage of people will converse with you through text than they will over the phone, right? But for some reason, we use Facebook and all these other social media platforms every single day. But on a professional level, we still have this adverse sort of viewpoint towards just straight up messaging people in a professional manner through Facebook Messenger or things like that. Get out of that mindset. If people are commenting on your stuff, send them a message.
Yeah, I think. Here's I think the dirty little secret, or what most agents probably won't admit, which is that here's what we would like to happen. I put out content. You call me when you're ready to list.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't happen. You can nurture people for years, and then they'll call you to list.
Yep.
Like Greg Harrelson takes 15, 20 listings a month. He's not actively pounding the phones.
Right.
He has database systems in place that nurture people and generate repeat and referral, and then come list to me calls. Like if you've been in business for 15, 20 years, you can absolutely build that. I think every agent is looking for that to happen. We want to project our content into the world, and then somebody reaches back out and asks to inquire about hiring us. That's not reality. What happens is we put our content in there, and then we still have to go the step, which is to chase them down and get them onto a call. And then maybe they'll think about having us come over and meet with them about working with us. And that's just the reality that we have to deal with. And I think part of, and this is, we have to be very careful about this, part of the reason why real estate podcasts for other real estate agents are growing is because people are looking for a way out of the hard stuff. And so they're looking for podcasts to tell them the easy stuff.
Absolutely.
What can I put on Instagram? What can I put on Facebook? And it's what, how do I get more views? How do I get more viewers and all this stuff? What they're really saying, or what they're not telling you, is I would like to do this so that I can cut out the middle step of proactively reaching out to people and getting them on the phone, so that they'll just reach out to me because of my content and hire me. But it just doesn't work like that. So for those people that are serious and realistic about closing more business, social media, podcasts, and stuff like that in the right setting, Facebook Lives, reaching out on LinkedIn, doing videos with local business leaders, all that stuff, it all works.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all either. You can literally just pick one thing and make it work, and it can be a pillar of your business. You don't need a lot. But none of those things work if you try to cut out that middle step of proactively reaching out to people, because that's just not where the consuming public is right now.
Well, sorry to let you down, podcast universe. If that's what you're looking for, you're listening to the wrong show.
Yeah,
but we will try to get Gary Vee on eventually and teach you how to make $15 on Craigslist a day.
I like the other thing too that you were saying too, and I suffered from this as a new real estate agent, and I had an agent sitting down at lunch and tell me one time, it's that casting a wide net, right? I just thought I'd throw it out there, and I'm going to serve all of Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yeah. That's my specialty is America.
My specialty is all of North Texas, right? And you see it in agents who have been successful. They all have, and we have agents in our office who work exclusively certain neighborhoods. They sell a shitload of real estate. Mm-hmm. You can be a niche. We had Espinoza on last week, right? That's all she does is short sales. If she recorded short sales videos, I'm sure they would get a ton of run. Yep. And I think as agents, we just catch too wide of a net. One, probably out of desperation initially, because you're just looking for a freaking deal, right? And then you carry that into all of your lead generation activities, and it's just a fruitless waste of time to chase down every single opportunity. And I think if you're doing that with video, you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money that you don't have to.
Yeah, agreed.
100% true.
Well,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and you talked about niching it, right? So we're just getting it's if you're looking at a funnel, I mean, in terms of what you want to lead generate on, you're going all the way down to the funnel and finding those qualified leads. Like we're an expired based business. We're prospecting expireds all day, every day, and that's what we built our backbone on, right? And then the short form video, I use viral marketing, and I try to rip off what viral was doing before, and for whatever reason, they have a secret sauce, because I would copy all the same videos, I would send it out, I would put it on Facebook. I just wasn't getting the return. The minute I started hiring them, I actually started getting referrals coming in. Yeah. So I don't know what it was, but I will continue paying.
That's awesome. We didn't know this or talk about this beforehand, but yeah, that's the agency I came out of. The CEO, Frank, is still one of my best friends, and yeah, there is some awesome secret sauce. And part of the secret sauce is, optimizing the videos. There's a lot that goes into that, and my advice for anyone listening and watching going, man, I'd like to do this stuff, is exactly what you said. You can try to imitate all this stuff from the back end. It's a lot better to hire the people who are good at it and let you focus on the stuff that you do best. I mean, that's essentially why I run the business I do today, is I built a team around me to do all the production stuff. so that I could just show up and have fun conversations like this and then walk away and go work out.
Yep.
You can do the same thing as a real estate agent. You just need, if you don't have somebody right now, my best advice to an agent, aside from the marketing stuff, is just hire a VA. And I mean, like right now, 5 hours a week, find stuff for them to do. It forces you to start thinking of what you're really and truly should be doing and what's worth your time to do. And it's a great personal development exercise, leadership development, to start having someone who reports to you and looks for you to tell them what to do. I mean, there's a ton of benefits, but yeah, I mean, that we should not be doing all this stuff ourselves. Our as an agent, your time is so incredibly valuable. It's spent talking to people.
Yeah.
And where's the best place, in your opinion, to get a VA?
I would say in the real estate space, my Outdesk.
Yeah.
I like Daniel. He's been there. He ran a very successful real estate team before he started that company, so he knows what VAs need to operate in a real estate environment with fast-paced, impatient, terrible communicating people that real estate agents that we all are. You know what I'm saying? He's built a good system for virtual assistants that are coming out expecting that and trained for that, as opposed to just going and hiring one directly, which I've done and you can do, but I would go through a company like My Outdesk.
Perfect. And let's say that we're doing our short form videos. I'm spending $550 a month with Viral, getting that down, and I'm going to take your advice, and I'm not going to start a podcast. But let's talk about a little bit on. I still want to get out there as that expert, and do get on some other people's podcasts. What is? I know we were talking off the air about this. Tell us about. Is that the best way? So we should still get on people's podcasts, just not start one, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're a real estate professional, I wouldn't start a podcast, but I would get booked on every podcast that you can under the sun. And I mean podcast, you're not going to find a bunch of other podcasts for the real estate public, but you will find podcasts that are maybe local to you, that are community focused, hosted by people in adjacent industries like wealth managers who are looking to connect with their audience. So everybody is kind of dabbling in this space, but I want to talk for a second about why you might want to come on shows like this or shows like the one that I host, Real Estate Uncensored. What good does it do you to get on a podcast where the audience is not people who can buy from you, but it's your peers, it's your colleagues in real estate? Here's why. People want to buy from people that are recognized as authorities. And it's very important for that to be a distinction. We can tell people we're an authority and they don't care. We can show them we're an authority by who we hang out with and what other people say about us, and people will care. People want to work with those who are recognized as an authority. Getting on podcasts and then sharing them with your audience, and I mean emailing them out, putting them on social media and stuff like that, making it visible that, hey, I just got interviewed on the only real estate podcast worth listening to, or I just got interviewed on Real Estate Uncensored. They may never listen. That's not the point. Your audience may never listen. In fact, if you're talking about the behind the scenes numbers of how many families you serve and you're selling, like Jeff Cohn is, 800 homes a year and he's number one at Berkshire Hathaway, maybe you don't even want your audience listening to that podcast where you're bragging about how awesome your business is and how you work one day a week and make $1 million a year, right? That's not the point. The point is the more that you share that stuff and you are recognized by other people in real estate as an authority, it starts to elevate the way your own database, your own client base looks at you. And that is invaluable. And that translates directly into money in your pocket, because when you walk into a listing appointment and you don't have to cut your commission from 7 to 6%, you just made thousands, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars. You may never even know it. They may just not ask you to cut your commission and you wouldn't have even known it, but they go, in their mind, you are somebody.
Yep.
You're somebody who is respected within your industry. You're a leader. You get interviewed on podcasts. Maybe you wrote a book about how to sell your house in 29 days for more money in less time, right? You got all these like credibility indicators. So you come in to interview for that listing and you're not just Aunt Sally. You're not just Cousin Joe who just got his license. You're the real deal. You're the professional. And like I said, that translates directly into cash in your pocket, and it gives people an easy way to refer you because you're the guy. And if you talk about what you specialize in and you're known as the guy that does this, you're known as the condo guy, you're known as the harvest and lake and Temecula guy or whatever, that gives people an easy way to refer you. So you're equipping and you're arming people that do know you with the exact words that you want them to use when they give you a referral.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just so many incredible benefits that it's not about necessarily people who are listening. It's about when you go to share that with your audience and they say, oh, This is someone that other people recognize is an authority in their field. That sets you apart.
And what's the best way to get on someone's show? Is quantity? I'm just going to go hit up everybody that has a show and just go. I'm going to be on every show. I'm going to do 3 shows a day. I'm going to start emailing them out. What's the best way to start to find the shows to get on them?
So I would start with a couple hours of research and send a few emails out yourself and get the ball rolling. My best recommendation is, again, you should not be doing this stuff, right? Hire a VA. I've got a program that trains them on how to research and find podcasts for you, and they let them reach out, let them get you booked on podcasts, do a couple and get your feet wet, and that's fine. But then as quickly as you can, hire somebody for $10 an hour, $15 an hour, send them through my course, get them trained, get them equipped, and let them do all the pitching and all the scheduling and all the follow-up and all the stuff you shouldn't be doing, so that you just show up and have the conversation. And then in that case, if you've got somebody doing the pitching for you, then yes, big, small, big shows, small shows, everything in between, pitch them all, right? 10 emails a week, get you on a couple of shows a week probably. I can tell you in real estate, when I first got started, I put a sheet together of maybe 15 real estate podcasts, and like 5 of those were on hiatus. We've never seen them again. Now, if I put together a spreadsheet of real estate podcasts that an agent could get on as a guest, it's over 100. Like the podcast market has exploded, and virtually every industry is seeing the same thing. So yeah, that's what I would do: is hire someone, get on a couple hire someone, have them being pitched consistently. Do a couple of them, a week, a month, something like that. A really great rhythm. That way, every week or every 2 weeks, you're sharing something on something. Hey, I got featured again. Hey, I'm on this. That will start to uncover opportunities for other things that might put you in front of clients like local magazines, newspapers, local, right? So it starts to open up like it on a different playing field, and it starts to expose you to other opportunities that you probably didn't think about. Yeah. But when you get recognized authority, other opportunities open themselves up, and those opportunities might be more local, and those will directly put you in front of people, but they don't put you in front of people as just, realtor, or she's the real estate person. It puts you in front of those people as an authority and someone expert at what you do. And believe me, it's way different being introduced to a new person or a group of people as an expert than it is as just someone who sells real estate.
So you mentioned send their VA through your course. What? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's a training course, not for the agent. It's for an assistant. It's for an intern or a virtual assistant. It's for an in-house assistant who books all of your appointments. If you've got somebody on your team, or you're willing to hire somebody, that program will basically, in 4 weeks, out the other side comes somebody trained and empowered to pitch you and get you featured on podcasts. And they're pitching you by week 2. And you should see appointments on your calendar by probably week 4. And if you're doing something significant in real estate where you have sort of a specialty, what you do, you've sold homes, you've got something to say, you can share on marketing, you can share what you're doing with clients. There's plenty of shows that would love you. And can find them, get you pitched, get you featured, and then help you send them out to you. So that's what the training does. So that if you want to learn more, learn kind of, I think the biggest stumbling block for agents right out of the gate would be, okay, what do I talk about? Right. And that's exactly what we share. I did a whole training about client of mine where we talk about like how to craft your story hook, like what makes you different when you're pitching yourself best, whether you're writing the email or not. We talk about that at pursuingresults.com/training. And it's like a 25-minute training where we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're curious about this, just go check out. But the main thing we talk about is your story hook, right? What different? Which, by the way, that all the way down to how you talk about your business to like your clients. So for agents who are looking for like what makes you different, that is a great training.
And I think for agents, the biggest thing to take away from what you're saying is 2 things. One, the social proof aspect of it. You don't have to walk around telling people how great you are. But secondarily, the doors that it opens. I mean, I will tell you, we've been doing this at a high level since the beginning of the year, and it's already put us in front of people that we would have never had an opportunity to talk to. CEOs of companies that I've paid money to that I would have never thought I would have got an opportunity to talk to. The mind share aspect of that, as well as the opportunity that comes from elevating the circles of people you're in, should not be looked upon lightly, right? I think anytime you can get into a bigger room.
Network.
Absolutely. Podcast networking is great. I mean, I'm having an opportunity to be on one this weekend, and it's something that we've been able to take advantage of lately because of our show. And I've seen results from it, right? We get messages now, not daily because we're not that big of a deal, but we get messages now from people that I don't know, that have no connection to us, that found the show through somebody else. The opportunity to talk to that person and all the opportunities that come from that would have never existed had we not been in the position we're in, and it's through the podcast or the short form videos or whatever we do. And I think agents really underestimate the power of that when you pair it with consistency, right?
Yeah, and that they can do the same things with something as simple as a Facebook Live and a lav microphone and going out to local businesses. So all the stuff we're talking about, where you get opportunities to interview CEOs, and I've had the same thing happen to me too. It's a really amazing opportunity. You do not have to have a podcast to get those benefits. You can literally just show up with a phone and a nice lavalier microphone, like a Rode Smart Lav, which is under $100 on Amazon. You can show up with that and just say, "Hey, I'd love to do a quick video of you, ask a couple of questions, feature you to my social media audience," and you'll build that same type of network and have some of those same benefits that we've all seen.
And Matt, do you have any good questions on your website for that? You mentioned the training, but it talks about that 25 minutes. Do you have any good, maybe a little script of questions that agents could go to just to see what you do? I know it's not an agent to consumer. You're more of a business to business, but is there anywhere that they can go search for some great questions on that? Because that's, I'm going to say, the number one thing that we get asked, regardless of whatever they're doing. If they're making calls, they want a script. If they want to go door knock, they want a script. If they're going to call their friends and family, they want a script on how to talk to them and what to say. And so, is there anything that you have out there, or that you could send people to that would give them those great scripting for asking questions to business owners in their interviews?
I tell you what. I don't, but I have it behind the scenes, and so I'm going to send you guys the document. And so if somebody wants to snag it, if they reach out to you, if they hear this episode and they go, "Hey guys, send me those questions," I don't have it anywhere. It's not in a downloadable PDF form. It's just a Word doc. I put it together for a training that Greg and I did a million years ago. So let me send it to you. It's called Questions for Local Influencers. I've got questions for mayors, police chiefs, restaurant owners, and pro athletes. So the four kind of main high level people where you'd be, you can't just ask them like, "Hey, when did you start your coffee shop?" Like, you want to ask them higher level questions. I do have them, so I'll get those over to you.
Awesome. We appreciate that. We will, any of the members in the only Facebook group worth being a part of, if they are,
can't ever get it right.
That's right.
The only real estate group worth being a part of.
Facebook again.
Oh. Well, because it's on Facebook. I mean, the only real estate group worth being part of on Facebook.
There you go. I like that.
So if any of our people in there, they continue adding people, because we are growing that group, we will definitely share that out, and we definitely appreciate you, Matt, for sharing that with us. So,
and what's the website one more time?
Website is pursuingresults.com /training is where that training lives. And then, just go check out, really, if you're listening to this and you'll enjoy the banter and stuff like that, and you like what we have to say, go check out my podcast as well, Real Estate Uncensored, available everywhere, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff.
I love it. Kelly, and then can you drop a link in the comments?
Yeah,
she's not even here. Leverage.
And this is how I even heard about Matt is I listened to him on Real Estate Uncensored, and then I didn't even know he was coming out with his podcast course for getting a VA to help pitch. I just saw him do a Facebook Live, and I sent him a message. So I'm doing $10 an hour work right now, and I'm ready to leverage that out. And it was a quick message. Matt and I have never spoken before, and it was an opportunity. So it definitely does work, even at a local side. So, just some general, as we get to wrap up here, I know that Derek is telling us that, to go ahead and get this thing closed up shop here. So, guys, if you're watching this, go ahead and leave a comment down below. We want to keep this Facebook engagement going. On iTunes, leave us a review. We've got some more reviews coming in, so thank you guys. Yeah. And then subscribe on YouTube. I mean, our YouTube numbers are going up. And then go check out Real Estate Uncensored. I mean, the stuff they're sharing over there is really good. Yep. And that's with you and Greg McDaniel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah, I'd like to meet that guy. I mean, it seems like the banter y'all do is kind of the same that we do here.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to say, we need to get you on our show because we'd have a good time. And actually, if I put you on the show, I could pretty much just take that episode off. I mean, it'd just be you and Greg, and you guys, you guys can all chat, and I'll just take the day off.
Yeah, I mean,
Go get a Starbucks or something.
Yeah,
There you
it
go.
saves your voice. I mean, you're the main host, right?
exactly.
So you got to save that voice.
Exactly.
So,
I'm so tired of talking. It's exhausting. Oh.
and then go and check out. We are on a wait list now. Brian, tell us about the wait
We're
list.
so close. We're building the website out. Check out, and if we can get a comment, I don't know if I
Kelly's
dropped the
on.
ball.
Kelly's
Yeah, I don't know
dropping.
if I dropped the link to her to get on the wait list. But Tour Academy, if you're wondering what Tour stands for, figure it out. You can take the first couple of words of all our other stuff, the only real estate podcast, the only real estate group. Tour Academy, our new coaching program is on a wait list now. We are just a couple of weeks away from launch. So it's going to be a lot like the webinar we just did, if you saw it, a lot like this show where we get real granular, dive really deep, give a lot of actionable advice. So if you are interested in getting on the wait list for that, we will drop a link. We'll post it in the group and on our other media as well. Sign up, because if you do, you're going to get a lot of awesome free shit and a lifetime discount. So make sure that you get signed up on that wait list today.
Matt Johnson, from one Matt to another, we appreciate you being on the show today, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
All right, man. Have a good one, buddy. Derek, take us out, my friend.